Hey, it's Doug here. In this video, I'm going to talk about installing packaged bees the easy and stress-free way. And make sure you watch the video to the very end. I'm going to give you 4 or 5 great tips on how to keep your packages alive. Now let's get started.
Well, I just picked up the packages. I got 30 packages. And when you pick up your packages, this is what you want to see. These are fresh bees that were just shaken in yesterday in Georgia. And they trucked them up overnight to southern Indiana, and I picked them up today. But you can see down here that very few bees on the bottom. That's what you want to see. There's a few down there, and most of them are even still moving. Here's a good shot, just a very few. This one, not so good. I got one out of all of these that's like that, and so I'm not sure. That one is not looking good, but other than that, all the other ones I checked, they look good. But got 30 packages in here, and it just fits in my SUV. So I'll be installing those this afternoon.
Here's our cart of packages just chilling in the shade while Doug the Bee Guy is getting the first box ready so that we can introduce these girls to their new home.
So these are 3-pound packages that I got from southern Georgia that I picked up yesterday, and I'm just going to pry this guy off of here, and we're going to install these. I'm going to show you the simplest way to install the bees with the least amount of stress on the bees and you. And this is the way that I have found that works really well. I've done the shaking of the bees in previous years, but I've decided that I like this method a little better, and I'm going to demonstrate it right now. So usually I have these all ready, and I'm checking these to make sure that these frames are good. Here's one that's got some old brood in it. This is a nice dark comb. They'll clean that out. If you have like a whole frame that's totally covered with brood, they probably wouldn't, but what you're looking for is something like that. That's a really great frame. It's dark, and they will lay in that. The queen will lay in that right away. So I got the 4 frames in there, and we're going to install a package of bees. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to pry off this little lid here that they use to cover the can. And then you want to get the can out. So I just tap the bees down. I don't try prying the can out like you always see everybody do. I just do this. But usually, like that. The can just comes right out. Pull your can out and put your lid back on. You have like 1 or 2 bees, and that's it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut the queen off and pull her out of there. I use this razor knife because, again, you know, you're trying to like pry this off and everything, and it's just a pain. So I just use this, cut this right off, and now she's loose. It's a lot easier to do with brand new gloves. So you want to pull the queen out, shake her off, and there she is. You want to make sure she's alive. She's running around in there.
I don't want to get too close.
And that's all you want to do. And then we're going to pull the cork out that's on this side where the sugar is. And we're going to insert her into the hive. It's best if you have a little screw to pull that out, but I don't have that right now, so I just used the end of the knife. But I opened the candy end of the queen cage, and now I'm going to insert that inside the hive. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this. I usually take this little thing off because it's in the way. Just set these over here. And what I usually do is I put the candy side either up or this way, so that if one of those attendant bees in there dies, she doesn't block the hole and the queen can still get out. So if you do it this way with the candy side down and one of those attendants dies and blocks that hole, then your queen is stuck in there for 4 or 5 days, and if you don't get back to your hive and check it, sometimes she will die. So I usually do it sideways or up. And I usually push it right into this, like this, right into the comb. But it's cold today, so it's not really sticking, so that's problematic. So one of the other things that you can do is just try to put it in there. I can do it sideways. There we go. You just kind of like have to really push it in. You just want to make sure that it's stuck in there. The other way to do it is to use that little strap with a thumbtack, and you put that strap over here and put a little thumbtack in there. And that's another great way to do it. So then you're just going to want to put her down in there like that. And you want to make sure that the attendants can get to her to feed her like that. So you don't want to push that other frame all the way up against that screen. You want to leave a bee space between there so that the bees can get there and feed her and attend to her. So the next thing you want to do is you want to invert your bees upside down, holding that lid. And you should probably have a glove on. I forgot to put my glove on, but it's fine. Just pull those bees out like that. Shake any extra ones down. Put your little empty hive body lid there. And they're all going to go down around that queen. And since I do 2 side by side, I have a temporary hive cover that I use, a piece of foam. And I just cover this so that they don't come flying out there. Very few would come out anyway, but I just put that on there. And if it's windy, you want a little piece of board. Today it's not windy, but if it's windy, or if you have a piece of board, obviously the size of this, or if you have, if you're doing 8 or 10 frames, you're going to put it in, put your thing on, put your lid on, so you're not going to do this. But since I do side by side, I have to have an extra cover. So now that I have my queen down in here and she's properly oriented, all I'm going to do is take this box of bees and tip it over and pull this little piece of wood out right here. And then I'm going to put this empty box over them like that. And they'll go down in there. And if you're doing a bunch, you can put another cover on here, like this, and move on. But I'm actually going to put this, since I did both sides, I'm actually going to put the final cover on. And I use these little seed bags as inner covers. So I just put that on here. Put this on. So here's the hive that we did about 15 minutes ago, and you can see the bees are now starting to orientate themselves. They're coming out their hole. They're in this package up here that's upside down. I didn't shake them. They've come down all the way. They found the only opening. They're coming out. They're going to the bathroom. But remember, a lot of these bees are nurse bees, and so they can't even fly yet. So what's happening is all your older bees that are going to be your first foragers are coming out, and they're figuring out where this hive is in relation, because they came from Georgia and now they're in Indiana, so they're lost, and they're figuring out where their hive is. And as long as you don't move this, they'll be fine. So they're coming out. The ones that can fly are going to the bathroom. They're probably looking for water, because that's the first thing they're going to want, and we'll start feeding them right away. But they're probably going to look for water, and they're going to look for flowers. Obviously, they're going to look for pollen. Once their queen is released, you'll start seeing them bring in some pollen. So as you can see, there's very few bees flying around. If you've ever shaken a package before, you know that there'll be thousands of bees everywhere. And this is just a lot more stress-free on the bees and stress-free on the beekeeper if you have, 20, 30, 40, or 50 hives in the same area that you're shaking packages into.
Look how happy they are. They were put in yesterday. And they are loving the sunshine on their boxes.
Alright, so it's been 24 hours since we put these packages in here. If you remember, we put the package upside down in the top box, and then the frames were down here, and we put the queen down in here. So we're going to take this off, and we're going to take out the boxes. So we just lift one of these up and look down in here. This one I did a little earlier, and it's already out. So we're just going to take it out. And as you can see, all of the bees have come out. There's not a ton of bees up in this box. There's a few stragglers on there. All you got to do is pop them out, then set this box out here, and those bees will all go right back into the hive because they already have orientated themselves over the last 24 hours and figured out where they live. So, like I said, I did this one a little while ago. Let's take this off, pop the box, they'll all go back down in there. Same with this side. You can see they're divided. One queen on one side, one on the other side. And we're not going to mess with the queens right now because it's only been 24 hours. So we're not going to try to see. They haven't been released. It takes about 4 days. So we're just going to put this on here, put the cover on, and they're happy. And they will take them a little while to figure out that the top box isn't here because they were going inside. But they'll be happy now. And in about 10 days, I'll put this box back on with some more comb. But right now, they're just going to release their queens and build up. So there you go. You can see the queen cage. They've eaten the candy. And they've released the queen, and she's somewhere on one of these 4 frames, and she's probably they don't start laying right away. It takes them a day or two. They got to get fed. Their abdomen has to swell, so their ovaries swell up, and they spread their scent on every comb. So they, for a couple of days, they just go back and forth on every comb, and they kind of get fed. And so we'll just take that off so that we can push the frames back to their proper distance, and we'll get rid of that. And they're ready to go. And in about 10 days, I'll put another box of comb on top of this hive.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you got some value out of it, please hit the like button and leave me a comment if you install your bees this way or if you install your bees a different way. But now I'd like to give you some tips on how to keep your packages alive, because that's the most important. Just installing them is the first step. Now you got to take care of them since they're your bees now. The first thing that you have to do is you have to feed them 1-to-1 sugar syrup continuously, and this will stimulate their wax glands so that they can build the wax in the hive. And I suggest feeding them until they build at least 10 full combs of wax out. Depending on where you live in the world, maybe you want to do 20 frames if you're going to house them in too deep. So you do have to feed them pretty much the whole season, unless you have a really good honey flow and they're bringing in lots of nectar. I suggest feeding them for the whole year. Second tip is you should feed them some kind of pollen substitute, whether it's dry pollen or patties or something. And this stimulates brood rearing because the carbohydrates in the sugar syrup will stimulate the wax glands for them to build wax. But until they start taking in protein and all the minerals and the micronutrients of a pollen or a pollen substitute, they will not raise brood in any great numbers. A small amount, but not a large amount. So I suggest feeding them pollen patties. And there's a great article on the MegaBee website, and I'll link it down below, that tells you that you should probably feed your bees about 6 weeks of pollen. You don't want to just feed them like one little time, and it doesn't really do the trick. You need to do about 2 brood cycles, and you'll see a definite benefit from feeding them the pollen substitute. The third thing that's really important is you need to check your queen has been released after about 4 days. After about 4 days, her pheromones have traveled through the hive, and if she hasn't been released, it's safe to release her on her own and they won't hurt her. You don't want to do it any sooner than that, but a lot of times, depending on how long your package was shipping, the candy can get hard and they can't eat it out in 4 days, and then she's trapped in there and she's not getting fed as much. So that's one of the #1 causes of package failure, is the queen's not being released and people don't go back and check them. So definitely check that your queen has been released. Sometimes your package will want to supersede its queen, and this usually happens about 15 to 20 days after you install the package. And the reason is the honeybee colony can sense that there's not enough nurse bees in the colony, and they think something's wrong. They don't understand that you just installed a small amount of honeybees and they're ramping up and they're going to be fine. They think there's a problem because there's not enough nurse bees, and sometimes they'll try to supersede your queen. So if you go into the hive and you see queen cells, you don't want to kill them right away, because you want to make sure that your queen is still in there. If she's still in there, then you can get rid of those queen cells. The best way to prevent this supersedure is to add a frame of brood to the package about 15 days after you've installed it. If you have a partial frame of brood from another hive, that gives them, and those bees will hatch out, that gives them those nurse bees in that critical time, and they'll think, okay, everything's fine, we have nurse bees to take care of the eggs that the queen is laying, and everything is good. If you don't have a frame of brood to add to your package, the only thing you can really do is continue to get rid of the queen cells until they accept that queen, or let them raise a new queen, but then you're going to be a few more weeks behind. And the problem is then you're going to have the same problem. The hive is not going to have enough nurse bees, and so sometimes it turns into this never-ending cycle, and that's one of the biggest reasons that packages fail. So I usually just kill the queen cells, but I make sure that the queen is still in there. If you want to check out a video that I did, I'll put it up in the card about marking your queen so you can find her easily. I'll put that up there. Last tip is, and this is a hard one because I know you're excited and I know you got some bees and you install them and you want to check on them every day, but you don't want to go in there that much when they're first getting established. Like I said, check them after 4 days for their queen, then maybe check them another after 10 days to see if she's laying. But try not to go in there every day and look at them, and definitely don't use a lot of smoke, because you want the queen to be accepted and you want the hive to get established. After about 2 or 3 weeks, then you can start going in there more. They won't be bothered by you because the queen is laying, they've got their nutrients, you're feeding them, everything is rolling, they're building wax, and everything should be good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to find out more about feeding your bees, I'll put another video up in the card. And please leave comments about installing your packages. If you have problems, leave a comment. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Thanks, and as always, be extraordinary.
Well, if you'd like to become a better beekeeper, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.